And House Majority Whip Kevin McCarthy says Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid is walking us off the cliff. What does he mean by that? We asked Congressman McCarthy earlier tonight. Nice to see you, sir.
Well, thanks for having me.
Today, Senator Harry Reid took to the floor and he said, quote, "We could solve the greatest economic emergency facing the nation today if only the House would consider the Senate-passed bill freezing tax rates for 98% of American families and 97% of small businesses."
Like I say to Harry Reid, we have more than 30 bills, and we have a bill sitting on his desk that extends all the tax rates, and we could sit down, find the special interest loopholes to bring the revenue the president wants, but actually look at and tax reform overall in 2014, but also find the places to cut the spending where the president says he wants a balanced approach, at least 2.5 cuts for every one. Those are the things we could start working on together. I mean, this is politics, what Harry Reid is doing, and the American public are tired of politics. It's time we sit down and solve the problem.
What do you think he gains by going to the floor and saying that? I mean, I listened to him today, and we took that slap at the House. The first thing I thought is, really, you know, I mean, if there's any chance at trying to negotiate something, you know, both sides have to stop, you know, shooting at each other. Yeah, shooting at each other.
To me, that is approach to take you off the fiscal cliff. I think what the president is doing and what the speaker are doing, what did they do over the weekend? They talked together on the phone. Where did you see them sitting down at a table together? You saw them shaking hands. You watched the president, or you watched the speaker right after the election sit down and say, here's revenues. We want to continue to tax rates, but you need revenues. Republicans are putting revenues on the table. Now, where are the cuts to government to get us to solve the problem? Because if you just do the tax rate, you don't solve. You got to bring more revenue in, but at the same time, you got to control the spending of government. That's the best way to solve the problem once and for all.
What's your position about raising tax rates on the very wealthy?
Well, I don't think the tax rates solve the problem.
Does that mean a no?
Well, I think what has to happen, revenue. We said with the president, we say, we'll give you more revenue by closing loopholes. You watch the studies.
Does that mean no to the tax rates?
I think the thing is, you want to solve the problem. I'm tired of just saying, look, if you do the tax rates, that gives you $31 billion this year.
8.5 days a year of funding of the government. No, I realize it, but I mean, I know that's sort of a hot point with whether people are going to come off that pledge or not.
Yeah, but if you're sitting and you want to solve a problem, why do you pick a little thing such as that when you want to harm the economy? The president had that same decision 2 years ago when Democrats controlled all. And he said, don't raise the tax rates in a down economy because most economists will tell you you can harm the economy. But he wants revenue. So we put revenue on the table. You can actually get more revenue. But if you ever find the cuts in government, you could start solving the problem. Don't you want to solve the problem overall instead of just have rhetoric?
Okay, I understand Senator Harry Reid's position. I mean, taking to the floor and making that statement, I mean, it's pretty clear that, you know, it's a shot across the bow and it's not a handshake by any means. I'm curious, the president has said that he will not sign any bill that doesn't increase the tax rates. Do you think he's going to come off that if the tax rates? I realize your revenue statement, but if he won't come off that, are we at a stalemate?
I also saw the president in his last press conference. He was asked that specific question, and that wasn't his answer. His answer was he's willing to sit down and listen to any ideas that the Republicans have on ways to gain revenues. It's just starting. And that's the right approach. And look at the approach that the speaker took. Here are revenues that you asked for. Now, Mr. President, why don't we start talking about the spending cuts, which you said you wanted a balanced approach, 2.5 to 1. We're spending a lot of time on this revenue that's 8 days and no time on a really reform that you have to take 2.5 more times of cuts. We should start spending some little time on that, saying what to do.
Has the president or any Democrat come to you with some spending cuts at all?
I haven't seen them yet. I'm more than willing to listen to them. I want to see them. And I think that doesn't solve the whole problem. You have to set up where you have overall tax reform in 2014. But this is a great start. This is a way to start the process. Look, you can't continue to borrow about 8% of your GDP for less than 2% growth. You don't make that up in volume. You even get worse. And that's the process that we're in. And we're spending way too much time on a small item when you should solve the overall. And remember...
Well, let's talk about it solving though, because this problem sort of erupted in its latest eruption in July and August of 2011, a year and a half ago.
Okay.
We're now coming up against this deadline on the sequestration. Why wasn't anything done in the meantime? I mean, I know that there was the super committee. They couldn't do something in November, but it didn't stop anybody else, anyone in the House or the Senate or the President, from every single month doing something until now, and now we're pushed up against this deadline.
Well, look, judge the House on what they did. They did pass a bill that solve sequestration. They did pass a bill that made sure the tax cuts wouldn't go up. Those are all sitting in the Senate.
Why didn't you yell about the Senate, like, as those months and days, and yell about the president, those months and days that went by, and nothing was being done?
Well, to be fair, I did, and sometimes even on your show.
Okay, all right, to be fair.
I have a frustration with the Senate. But look, I don't want to sit here and bash the Senate. I want to solve the problem. That's why we've come to the table. What really has to happen, there's 3 weeks to go here. What Harry Reid did today was wrong. That's walking us off the cliff. We've offered revenue. We need to see spending cuts. Remember, small business drives this economy. This economy is weak. If you raise rates, the majority of small business run as an S corporation. So their taxes will go as high as 43%. And you know what? We're at our lowest point in 17 years of starting new jobs through small business. Smallest startup. That means the economy looks bad. So let's help new jobs so you don't have to raise the rates. Let's give the revenue that the president wants, that we've sat down and said this is a better way to do it while protecting the economy. But let's see the spending cuts. We're at the table. We want to solve the problem. Harry Reid's looking like a different path, but you leave it up to Republicans, we'll get the job done.
Congressman, nice to see you, sir, and good luck solving, because it's serious. Very
Thanks
serious.
for having me.
Thank you, sir. And tonight, new demands for answers.